DTI Tools, debt to income ratios. I don't really know why a couple of banks were keen to bring this in, probably maybe a year ago now, thinking about it. A couple of banks have brought it in, but from the Reserve Bank's perspective, they anticipate that it's going to be fully functional and good to go by mid-2023. Now, as soon as the CCCFA came out with their changes, which we'll come on to later, this tool, in my mind, seemed futile, because as soon as you're looking at people's discretionary expenses, DTI tool becomes obsolete, almost. But anyway, regardless, it's in. Some of the banks are using it. What is it? How does it work? And is it fit for purpose?
Debt to income ratio is simply a way for the banks to review the total level of debt that you have against your income. So if you have a combined income of $100,000 a year and you want to borrow $600,000 to purchase a property, you've got a debt to income ratio of 6 times your income. Now most banks, a few banks have implemented this in their policy at the moment. Yes, it's been very confusing. Some of the bank staff have not understood their own policy themselves, which has led to a number of clients being declined lending at one institution who had a debt to income policy in place, and we've just managed to take them to another bank who didn't have that policy in place. So yeah. It is certainly having an impact, and it will do so if it is implemented next year. Also, each bank is implementing this policy in their own way as well, so they have different ratios that they are willing to accept. So we want to make sure that we've got the ability to go to more than one provider, is really important, and make sure that we are putting people in a position to get either the maximum lending they need and what they can afford, so that they can be in a position to purchase property.
And it gets quite complicated. So let's say, okay, somebody's earning a salary, 6 times the salary, that's simple. What about borders, rental income? If you're self-employed, add-ons, it gets very complicated.
Certainly
not easy
does.
to work out.
And you also asked, is it fit for purpose? And that's a real challenging question that I guess the government and the Reserve Bank have to work out. Is it going to be correct? Right now, if I looked at lending for clients while interest rates are higher, so the assessment rates that the banks are using are over 8%, it is quite challenging for a client who's earning $100,000 a year to be able to borrow 7 times that, which might be acceptable as a debt to income ratio with one bank. I'm finding most people can borrow 5 to 6 times their income. Above 6, challenge. 7, definitely a stretch. So debt to income ratio right now is not as relevant as it was going back a year ago when interest rates were so much lower. So the assessment rates the banks were using were below 6%. All of a sudden there was much larger amount of discretionary income that people had to service debt, and you could potentially borrow 7 or 8 times your income. I'm personally not seeing that right now, and so I don't believe that debt to income ratios have a relevance moving forward while interest rates that we're using for assessment are high. That could change in the future, so they may just sit in the background as another tool. So yeah.